almost every kid in the 2000s had a fish at one point or another. They're one of the most common household pets. And in the early 2000s, movies like Finding Nemo didn't skyrocket the popularity of owning a fish. But my experience with fish as a child is a long one, and that's what we'll be discussing in this video. But before we get into the story time, the things I'm drawing in this video are the thumbnail for this video and some fan art of Suguru Geto from Jujutsu Kaisen. So I have had dozens of fish in my lifetime, but today we'll be discussing 3 stories about my first fish. Now the way I got my first fish is different than most people. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, there was a big fair being held in my town all about corn. If you ever seen Star vs. the Force of Evil, it basically looked like a county fair on Muni dedicated to just corn and corn alone. And I went with my mom, my dad, and one of my childhood friends' families. And we will call this friend for this story time Angelina, because her and I both met in dance classes and we both watched the show Angelina Ballerina. During the last hour we were at the fair, Angelina and I caught a glimpse of a game where if you won, you would win a little goldfish in a bag and bring it home. I believe the game was one of those throw a ring and you try to get it on the top of a bottle, but I can't remember for sure. And being the toddlers that we were, we failed at the game. We were sad and devastated, but then, in a hero mood, both our dads stepped up and won the game for us. I honestly don't know how they did it. Those games are impossible, but that just shows my dad is the GOAT. So we both had gotten a little goldfish in a plastic bag. I forgot what Angelina named her fish, but I looked at my fish and came up with the perfect name for him. Corn! Yes, I named my first goldfish Corn because I got him at a corn-themed fair. I wasn't that creative as a 4 or 5-year-old. The creativity didn't lock in until 1st grade. So yeah, and now this is the story of how I thought Corn was murdered by a group of middle schoolers. It makes more context once I get into it. So, my dad used to coach a softball team when I was around 4 or 5 years old, with one of my uncles as his second coach, and 2 of my older cousins were on the team. So one day, the team was sleeping over at my house, and having a group of preteens in a house with a 4 or 5-year-old was something. I remember them using some of my drawing toys for my bath and drawing all over the tiles, and they did some cute doodles and wrote some cute messages saying hi to me. Those doodles stayed on that tile until the day my family moved out of my childhood home, and I have no clue if they're still there. If the family who moved in there was able to scrub the tiles, kudos to you. But that is where the end of the fun and games happened for me at the sleepover, because that's when tragedy struck the next morning. So I had woken up to the sounds of a bunch of preteens giggling downstairs. Also, side note, the way my kitchen worked at my childhood home was it was an open kitchen, and when you're going down the stairs, you could see straight into the kitchen, and you would see the sink. And I was still waking up, and I'm at the top of the stairs, seeing the majority of the team standing around the sink with the small fish net. You know, the kinds you use to scoop out fish and put them in a different water space while you're cleaning the tank. The team was giggling, and one of them said, "Ace, Corn is dead, we're holding a funeral." Without a second thought in my head, I start crying and yelling at them that they aren't funny, that I had seen Corn last night and that he was fine. Now, as a small child, I didn't do well going down the stairs. So I was carefully crawling down the stairs, yelling at these preteens that they were wrong. The team just kept laughing. But thankfully, one of my cousins noticed how upset I was and came down to help me down the stairs. Luckily, my dad had woken up and asked me why I was crying, and I remember being all sniffling and telling him, they said Corn was dead and they were gonna pour him down the sink. My dad got up and looked at the empty fishnet one of the girls was holding over the sink and sighed. The team at this point knew they royally fucked up, cause fun fact about me, I am an only child. And not only that, my dad is a girl dad and fully committed to it. So when I did dance classes, he learned how to put my hair in a bun in case my mom couldn't when she was busy at her job. When I was in high school and one of my teachers yelled at me in front of my whole class and almost made me cry, when he picked me up, he was ready to go into the classroom and have a long conversation with my teacher. So yeah, the team should have known better than messing with little me. My mom had also gotten up at this point, and my cousin who helped me down the stairs explained to her what had happened, and the two of them walked me over to Corn's tank where he was swimming safe and sound. And while that was happening, my dad was giving the whole team a lecture about how wrong that was. So yeah, I told you guys my dad was the GOAT. And that's coming from someone who designed their persona to literally be a goat hybrid. Now, for the final Corn story. So one day I was coming home from school, announcing to my mom that I was home, and my dad was walking in behind me. I went over to Corn's tank to say hi, and I noticed something strange about Corn. Corn was different. He now had pink and purple frills on his tail, and his body was much smaller and pink. I asked my mom what happened to Corn, and she said, well, while you were at school, Corn went through a metamorphosis and changed color. And little me, not knowing better, because the unit on metamorphosis and butterflies didn't happen until 3rd grade, went, what? That's so cool! Corn is now all frilly! Now, this part of the story wasn't explained to me until fairly recently, because this idea for a video came up and I wanted to get all the facts from my dad, but we don't even know if these are all the facts because we don't remember exactly what happened during this. So, from what my dad could remember, Corn had died, and luckily I hadn't noticed that morning, so after my dad and I left the house to drop me off at school, my mom went to our local PetSmart and got me a pink and purple betta fish. Because apparently she couldn't get a goldfish because there was no workers able to help her, so she got a betta fish and decided to make up the metamorphosis lie. But child me didn't know that she was lying, so I was telling several people that my goldfish went through a metamorphosis and turned pink and purple and now had a frilly tail. I legit thought my fish went through a magical girl transformation. See, now the video title makes sense. Now, I don't remember how it was revealed to me that Corn died and had been replaced with an entirely different fish, but if I do find that out, I will post a short or I'll make a new video about it. So after learning the truth about Corn's death, I knew in my heart that calling this new fish Corn was wrong. So I decided to name it Princess, because it was pink and purple like the princesses on TV. And then a week later, it was revealed to me that betta fish with the frilly tails were boys, and child me was just like, nope, I'm not renaming this fish again. We're sticking with Princess. I don't care. We're calling her Princess. Yep, that's right. Asa Blank has been defying the social construct of gender since the late 2000s. Yeah, child me didn't care that we called that fish Princess at all. In fact, I actually got a few female betta fish later down the line and did name them like more girl names, but I don't remember because that is for the topic of if I make a part 2 this video explaining my fish graveyard. So yeah, those are the main 3 stories all about my first fish, Corn. I hope you guys enjoyed this fun story time video, and let me know if you guys would like to see more. As mentioned in this video, I have several other stories to tell. But yeah, this was a fun video, and I hope to make more like this in the future. If you would like to see more of my content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you would like to see me doing some gaming content, go follow me on Asa Blank where I post gaming videos. And ignore the fact that there is a huge gap between my most recent video and the last video I posted. I kind of went on a gaming hiatus. But I'm going to try to post more on there. Alright, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.